Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Was President Detloff?
Here.
Mr. Brower? Here. Mr. Marks?
Here.
Mr. Morgan? Present. Ms. Quinn?
Here.
Ms. Worrell?
Here.
And Ms. Wheeler?
Present.
Do we have a motion to approve village board minutes dated 7/21/2025?
I'll second.
Okay, motion to approve previous meeting minutes from July 21st. Motion is made by Mr. Marks. Seconded by Ms. Weedle.
Yes.
Mr. Brower.
Yes.
Mr. Morgan.
Yes.
Ms. Quinn.
Yes.
And Ms. Worrell.
Yes.
Public comment, Mr. Seamus Flanagan. The floor is yours, Mr. Flanagan.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. Yeah, we had a meeting last Wednesday, I think it was, with you guys about trying to rezone the property on Butler. I think the feedback, I don't know, it was maybe people thought it was too many duplexes there or whatever, and they were too close together. So we come up with the idea of doing 10 units instead of 12, so that would leave 14 foot each side instead of the 5 foot originally, because people thought it was too tight. So 14 foot the building and then 14 foot each side, so really you'd have 28 foot between the buildings. I think the lots would be 98 foot instead of 80. They're 80 right now. So if I condense it down a bit, we would leave it at 10 units instead of 12, and we'd have 14 foot side yards instead of 5 foot side yards.
Does anybody want a copy of what we're referring to? Just read that one.
You got it.
And then these are, does anybody want a copy of this? This is the survey.
I'll take one. Yeah, for sure. Please, thank you. Yeah, that would make this make more sense.
And then we have a bigger plan. So I don't know if we have enough. I guess we can condense it to.
Should need you up, Gary?
Okay. And then this is the overall kind of, I guess you guys can pass this around, starting with maybe. This is what they're gonna look like.
Well, then what I handed out earlier was a revised version of what we had on Thursday that shows in red the lots in question that the Flanagans want to rezone, and under this setup, re-subdivide, and it shows the existing R1 and R2 zoning in the vicinity.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is the difference between R1 and R2 the single family and multifamily unit?
Yes, single family versus duplex.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So I'm Kathleen, I'm Seamus's daughter. I live in Graham Park, just on Clark Street, right behind Butler, I guess is the best way to say that.
Yeah.
And I moved here in December of 2023. So I've been in the neighborhood for a couple of years. Now, Dad's been building for over 35 years, so I wanted to get into the, I guess, family business, I guess you could say. We currently build single family homes in Moni, which is just about 20 minutes north of here. And that's a very good market. We get a lot of interest from families in that area. Prices up there is about $400,000 to sell the home. And so we wanted to invest in Graham Park, and to this day, we have put in about 4 single-family homes in the Hamilton Farms neighborhood. 3 of those hit the market, and they kind of sat there for a very long time. So that's why we are looking to get it rezoned from R1 to R2 for the lots that are just sitting there. You know, I'm sure as you guys are aware, when you invest your money and you're building, for 3 single family homes at a time, and they sit there, the bank acquires a lot of interest from that. And when we had the single family homes up, we had a lot of families with young kids interested in those homes. But because of the pricing of a single family home, brand new, it made it hard for younger families to afford, because as we know, the cost of everything is going up and up. And our employers are unfortunately paying us the same money. We don't really see a lot of raises lately. So it's kind of hard to compete with the raising inflation prices and buying a new home. So we had to go back to the drawing board to see how we can make homes more affordable for young families. And that's where we got the idea of building the duplexes to help the cost of that, and families kind of achieving that American dream of owning a home and being able to provide for their families. Grand Park out here, it's a tough market, but we're hoping with the duplexes, it makes it more affordable. And, if we build them, we believe it's going to bring young families to put them in our school system. It's going to increase the value of the homes in the area. And it's going to bring revenue essentially to Grant Park. So we believe that these lots are better being built for that than just sitting there empty with no revenue at all to them. And with that being said, if we don't get it rezoned from R1 to R2, it's going to be very, very hard for us to build a single family home again there. We knew buying them, they were R1, but we tried R1 and it took a very, very long time to sell the single family homes. And so with the R2, with more affordable housing, we're hoping that they would sell quicker. And that's kind of why we are here today, to kind of give you our case for that. The only issue is we've been having a hard time with the zoning for that, because we weren't really given a standard. You need X, Y, and Z in order to kind of hear out our plans for it. Because on Wednesday, they said they wanted kind of a layout of, the property in the lot size. And for an engineer to do that, it's probably going to be around $8,000 to $10,000. And that's kind of a lot of money to put up front for something we don't know if people are going to consider moving forward with that. So we just kind of have an issue with that and hoping for some guidance so we can make sure everybody knows what we're doing, and doing it the right way. So that's a kind of an issue we wanted to bring up as well. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
You said it all.
So if I can just add to that briefly.
Yeah.
Where we are in the process, the Flanagans have submitted an application seeking a rezoning and variances. That was for the plan to use the 6 lots. This new plan to re-subdivide it into 5 lots would require them to revise the application and also apply for the subdivision relief. But we're at that initial stage. They've signed the professional fee agreement, they've paid the deposit, and they were working with us as far as analyzing, making sure their application is complete. Once that's done, it then needs to be noticed up for an actual public hearing. The meeting with the Plan Commission on Wednesday was just a informal discussion, committee style event to have some feedback back and forth. It would have to go to public hearing and then it comes here to the village board. So the purpose of the Flanagans being here tonight is to have a discussion with the board about the plan and get a sense for whether or not this is worth pursuing, rather than spend all the money to get the thing set up for a public hearing, taken through a public hearing and a board meeting, only to come and find out it was a non-starter. Is that a fair summary?
It is, yeah, it is.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Of course.
What would the price per duplex be for use of affordable?
We're hoping to be able to keep them between 250 and 275. We're hoping, because I don't have full blown plans yet, so I can't get prices and everything. I don't want to go to, to all those expenses, but I'm hoping 275 would be tops,
And then what about parking? Will they have their own parking, or will it be?
Yeah, it's each unit has a 2-car garage,
Oh,
and
nice.
obviously
Okay.
to be a driveway, so you really need a 4 parking easy, 2 inside and 2 out.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That's the questions I have. Nice garage, have a garage.
Does anyone else have any questions for the Flanagans concerning this?
I do not.
Board members? Anything else, sir?
That's about all we have to say.
We'll be discussing this a little bit further in the meeting, with Mr. Sanchi, but I appreciate your time. We're going to take care of some village business, and then Mr. Sanchi will have a little bit more to say about this.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion for bills for payment and payroll.
Yes, I move to approve bills for payment dated July 31st, 2025 from the corporate general fund in the amount of $6,441.68. Also dated July 31st from the Fest Fund, $25. Also dated July 31st from the TIP account, $171.50. I also move to approve payroll ending July 19th in the amount of $19,852.87.
I'll second.
Does anybody have any questions about any of the bills? Oh, did you have a question? Okay, I think we're good. Okay. Motion to approve bills for payment as follows, dated July 31st, general fund, $6,441.68. Fest fund, $25 even, and TIP account, $171.50. Payroll ending July 19th in the amount of $19,852.87. We have a motion made by Mr. Morgan. Yes. Seconded by Ms. Weedle.
Yes.
Mr. Brower.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Ms. Quinn.
Yes.
Ms. Worth.
Yes.
Department reports, Mr. Scott Dillman.
I believe I have anything.
Thank you, sir. Our village attorney, Mr. Mike Sanchi.
I have nothing unless you wanted to discuss Flanagan now.
I would, if you could.
Yeah, so, as I mentioned during the public comment, the Flanagans have filed an application, which is gonna need a revision in light of the new plan that they've suggested they may be pursuing. And what they were looking for at this time was just an expression from the board as to whether or not the board is interested in what they're seeking to do. It's not on the agenda. It isn't up for final decision. The board can't take any action on it. It has to be sent to a public hearing before anything happens. But I guess as village staff, what we're looking for is some feedback from the board as to whether or not this is worth pursuing or if this is a waste of their money.
I guess at this time, I would ask the village board your thoughts on this matter. This is not a formal vote. But as Mr. Sanchi says, if we're not going to go anywhere with this and we're not going to pursue it, then we don't want to make a lot of bills for the Flanagans.
Right.
And we already have our minds made up. So I would open the table up for discussion at this time. If anybody has any comments on it, if you would like to see townhomes go in, single family homes go in, it would be something that will be coming up in the future that you would need to vote on.
I would prefer single family homes as opposed to a duplex.
Okay.
I believe if they couldn't sell single family homes for 300 to 325, they're not gonna sell a duplex for 275. I think it's great to have a smaller home for starting out family, but I think the price point's high. I know it's a good area, garage, et cetera, but I do think it's a high price point. I think single family homes would definitely be better. Just for general upkeep and stuff as well. I feel like they're held to a little higher standard, but I don't know.
I mean, as at our meeting, our zoning board, meeting that we had, the feeling from the zoning board is basically what you're saying right now. They would prefer a single family home as opposed to a duplex. That would be their recommendation to the board. We're not at that crossroads yet to vote on it, but we thought it would be best to talk about it beforehand. And then, so we're both have an understanding. And if the Flanagans are looking for an answer, as Mr. Sanchi said, we're not near that. It has to be put as a vote, but there was a lot of procedure involved. We can't make a determination this evening. Do you have anything, Dennis?
Well, I just think that it should be single family because that's street is all single family. And I'm sure the people, if I own a house there and you put duplexes there, you would have one upset person, that's all I can tell you, because I there's a certain thing that goes with duplexes, you know what I mean? People buy them and rent them, they don't buy them, don't buy them. to live.
That was my thought too. My thought was if they're not, or that they're gonna be unable to sell them, would they have to go into rentals? And,
Yeah, I-
you know, then that's a whole nother loophole that we'd have to look into. So single family homes, I think, would maintain the appearance of the street, of Butler Street General. And with you have to think of the ones at Hilbert Court that are what, 215, 220. They're just sitting as well. So the price would be, you'd already be above comps.
I feel like we should
Maybe
dumb
we'll,
down.
ask the people that are here from,
I don't think anybody's here from Hilbert. No, this is just informal to see what your thoughts were.
Okay.
We have to go through the process. Your feeling is in line with the feelings the zoning board had. So unless Mr. Sanchi has anything to add to that?
Nope, I will, after the board meeting, I'll have to have a conversation with the Flanagans, and then depending on what they decide to do, if they decide to move forward, we will set it for a hearing. They'll get a chance to deduce their evidence, and then it'll come back to the village board. If they decide not to move forward, we may be back to you with a question on how to handle their deposit. So, but I think that's related to the other. So I've got the instructions I need.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Engineers report, Neil Piggish. In the next week or two, we will be signing contracts for Hilbert Park. I think all the trustees in their packet got the information on what the park is going to cost. That paper there, that is the second one, it says Piggish. Second one down there, that's right.
Oh, there. You
So
can
that's,
see it better than I could.
that's a breakdown. Bids were released on Friday. R&R Construction got the winning bid. Half of this will be paid through a grant from the Department of Natural Resources. Gary and I have looked at these numbers. They're preparing the contracts right now. And if anything comes up, I will be reaching out to Mr. Sanchi, but in the next couple of weeks, we will be signing contracts, and they hope to have that part completed by late fall of this year. So the next thing on the concerning engineers, we have started with the restoration work on North Main Street on drainage issues that we've had there. And in 2 weeks, they will start on Essen Farm. We have a drainage problem on Essen Farm. They're aware of it. They're making arrangements for the contractor to come out there and take care of that. After that is done, the work that happened last year should be pretty much wrapped up. So we should have everything taken care of. The heavy rain that we had the other day made that safe passage walkway by the high school basically unusable because it was all underwater. But they are aware that there is a drainage issue and they are going to work on that, and then we'll get this project wrapped up. Does anybody have any questions?
In the biggest report, there says that the R&R is going to, their favorite, but it says engineer's estimate. If the cost of the project goes over, who's responsible for the overage?
Well, it would be us to accept it or not accept it. They give us an estimate at the beginning of the job on what they thought the project was going to cost. Earlier on, maybe 2 months ago, we made a few changes at the park. The location of the train, we left the train where it sat. We took some fencing down that we can gain, that was the village property, that we can gain 30 feet to the north and then 36 feet towards the railroad tracks. So that put a slight increase on the original bid, but we still came in $5,000 below his estimated cost, even though we added some things. We wanted to, because of the work with the train being, where it's sitting, we wanted to incorporate the train in the playground area. So they reworked the drawings, so make all the playground equipment work with the location of the train. There was a little bit of cost because of the engineering involved in it, but we still came under the estimated bid.
So my question still is, if it goes above the estimated cost, are we responsible for?
We're always responsible. It's up to-
100% of
Yeah,
us?
it's always up to us whether we accept it or we don't accept it. I mean, they present the documentation and then we either accept what they, just like this one here, this paperwork, they said, here is the winning bid. Would you accept this? We accepted it. Contracts are being prepared now, and then hopefully work will start shortly after that. Anybody else have a question? Sir?
Yeah, I might help them clarify there too. Usually if cost estimates go over, it's usually because of a change order or something like that that comes across. And then, but the board would approve that to be done first before, you know, it's not just arbitrarily done and send us a bill kind of thing. Perfect, how that would work. That help? Yep, okay, very much.
And I do have a question.
Go ahead.
Are we going to in my packet is, the health property? Is that something else that we need to discuss tonight too?
We will be discussing that under professional fee agreements. That will be coming up and Mr. Sanchi is going to take the floor and handle that.
Thank you.
Any other questions concerning engineers? Thank you. Ordinances, Insurance Committee Chairperson Susie Weedle.
No report.
Thank you, ma'am. Streets and Alley Committee Chairperson Morgan Worrell.
Yes, just a couple things. Steve's ordered replacement street signs for the ones that were stolen. Hopefully they'll be in soon. Spray patching is gonna begin actually this week, either Thursday or Friday, weather depending, so hopefully no rain. And he's also collecting some estimates for seal coating in the community center parking lot. He said to go along with the spray patching, it is a pretty messy job and it does take a while, but they're usually pretty good about cleaning everything up. Just a little patience is key with that, he said. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you, ma'am. Finance Committee Chairman Gary Morgan.
Yeah, okay, the first thing that we have on the agenda is the resolution. I move to approve resolution R-7/25-1, a resolution authorizing the sale of certain parcels of property owned by the village of Grant Park, known informally as 12393 East State Route 117, Grant Park, Illinois.
Should it be 8? We're in August.
Yes, it should.
Okay, thank
Very
you.
good. I wrote it in July, so R-8-25-1, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Did anybody have any questions about this? I mean, basically, this is the Pepin property that we've talked about quite a lot. And in this package, you also would have gotten a copy of the proposed or the draft copy of what would be the contract that we enter into with somebody. But the contract would be approved later. It has to be reworked and we'd have to actually have somebody that's interested in buying, and then we would approve it again as trustees whether we do that kind of thing. So it's there for your information, but it isn't part of the resolution. And in the resolution, it does indicate what the minimum, I guess, bid or quote that we would accept. And it also comments on what the reimbursement is for the realtor.
And all that's statutory. Statute requires you, in addition to setting out the information regarding the property in this resolution, to give the quote unquote general terms of the sale, which is why a form agreement is attached, even though that will require tweaking and further approval, as well as the appraised amount and the compensation of any listing agent.
Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, I can speak.
All set? Okay. Motion to approve resolution number R-8-25-1, which is a resolution to sell real property listed as 12393 State Route 1 and 17 of Grant Park, otherwise known as the Pepin property. Motion is made by Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
seconded by Ms. Worrell,
Yes.
Mr. Brower,
Yes.
Mr. March,
Yes.
Ms. Quinn,
Yes.
and Ms. Wheel.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing on this is to discuss the amendment regarding the village's professional fee ordinance. Bring this over to the signature.
Thank you. Thank you, trustee Morgan. So I think in your packet, there is a memo. Attached to that memo is the professional fee agreement ordinance. And I think it's good to have a little refresher on what this is and why it exists. And also, I know there are some new trustees on the board who probably know, but may not. Our office began representing the village in 2016. Between 2016 and 2022, there was almost no zoning and development work. We'd get one, maybe two items in a year. And most of them were pretty simple. In 2023, beginning with, I think Messino's is the name of the automobile place downtown, and then the cannabis dispensary, we had two more involved, more complicated commercial zoning requests. And then in 2024, we had a couple of local residential ones by just homeowners that were trying to sell their house, found out it was legal non-conforming, wanted to get it fixed, other things of that nature. We also had a couple of requests that never turned into anything. This led to a discussion at the board level because, of course, because the village doesn't have a zoning officer, doesn't have a staff member who's knowledgeable of all the procedural intricacies of the zoning and subdivision ordinances, it kind of defaults to our office to guide through that process, and that gets expensive quickly. The board wanted to see if there was a way to shift the burden of these inquiries from the village, which is to say the taxpayers as a whole, to the specific individual making that request. So the ordinance has the effect, it says that anyone who wants a development approval, whether it's zoning, site plan, subdivision, anything along those lines, they have to agree to reimburse the village for professional fees incurred. That includes our bills in relation to that particular matter. It also includes other professional fees such as engineering review, potentially architectural review, things of that nature. That ordinance also approved a template or form professional fee agreement that has built into it a requirement that before any work will begin on an application, the applicant has to not only sign the agreement, they have to make a $5,000 deposit. The purpose of that deposit is as security if they subsequently failed or refused to reimburse the village, because we or Piggish or whatever other professional is going to bill the village pays us. And then the village seeks reimbursement from the applicant. If they didn't do that, that gives you a pot of money to pull from so that the village isn't left holding back. That's basically what it's for. Now, in light of recent events, the Flanagans obviously have filed an application and it has to do with building multiple houses, and they made the deposit. About that same time, we got an application from Bill Health, and that's also on the agenda. We'll talk about that later. It's interrelated. For what, at least at the outset, seemed like a much simpler request, and there's been some discussion about whether or not that amount, 5,000, is appropriate in all cases. At this point, the Flanagan's application and Mr. Helt's application are the first times that we're actually using the professional fee agreement. So the board basically has the option of getting rid of the ordinance and returning the status quo, which is the village pays, using taxpayer money, pays for whatever the review costs are. Leaving it the way that it is with the $5,000 deposit. Notably, the agreement allows the board to set a different, which is to say lower, because somebody's not going to request a higher one, but a lower deposit at a 2/3 supermajority vote, or to adopt something else that would set out gradations to the deposit based on the complexity of the project. Now, in the memo, there's a little bit of this context, a little bit of this history. We were asked to put together a suggestion. It's couched as a recommendation, but it's really a suggestion. We don't have a dog in this race, as it were. This is a policy question for the village. How much risk is the village willing to take? Under what circumstances is it appropriate? With the way that the ordinance is structured, and we suggested deposit levels for the $1,000 to $50,000 range as far as the estimated cost of the project in question, $6,500 for $50,000 to $100,000, and $9,750 for more. There's no mathematical certainty to that. It's just loosely based around an assumption of about 10 hours of work, about 20 hours of work, about 30 hours of work at our rate. Obviously, if the engineers get involved, you've got different rates and whatnot. These sorts of, among other things, these sorts of applications require our office to attend more than one meeting. Each meeting involves a couple hours, right? So it's not, this isn't some sort of grandiose estimate. So one thing that we're looking for feedback from the board, it's not for decision tonight. The question to the board, whether there's feedback tonight or in the future, is does the board want to adjust its ordinance? Do you want to adopt something like the schedule that's in this memo? Do you want to leave it as it is? Whatever the board's pleasure happens to be. Separately from that, but related, Mr. Helt has applied, he applied to the village for a zoning variance. This got hung up kind of pre-step one because we never got the professional fee agreement. We never got the deposit. He had some discussions with the mayor. He had some discussions with the plan commission chairman in which he expressed that that's an awful lot of money to put up when you're just looking for a variance that allows you to move or reconstruct your barn. Now, in that particular instance, and there's I believe that you've got a print off in your sheet that kind of shows where his property is. It's only in here because again, we're at the very initial stages of this request. It's only in here to highlight what it is he's trying to do. The lot that he owns, or a portion of a lot, was previously a single family lot that was then split to have a house lot and a very small lot with a storage barn on it. He was looking for a variance that would allow him to rebuild a 3-car garage on that small lot and keep it as close to the north property line as it currently is. It's basically on the north and east property lines right now. I don't think it's that simple. I think there's more to it. I think that among other things, establishing a garage on a zoning property, or I'm sorry, on a zoning lot in a residential district without a house connected to it is something that would require a text amendment. But what's before the board right now, because we're not even there yet. We're not even at the point of figuring that out. What's in front of the board is he's looking for a reduction or a waiver of the deposit requirement. Under the current ordinance, that would require the board to pick a lower number and vote it up by 2/3 supermajority. Or not do that.
Board, I need your opinion on this. Mr. Helt is waiting for an answer. He approached me and said that for him to pay $5,000, he thought it was a bit steep. And do you want to do it per project, as Mr. Sanchi said, say 0 to 50,000, and this is the professional fee agreement, because there is more involved in this. It's just not, we're going to take a garage down and put a garage up in the same location. We have to make sure the village is protected and the village don't receive bills. We're not going to pay for this garage or for engineering or attorney fees. This is on the person that wants to do this. So what is your input? I guess I'm asking the board we're not going to vote on anything, but we have to have some direction. Are we going to keep it as we have it now? Are we going to do it on an individual basis? Or are we going to do it at a tiered basis as we go, depending on how much the project costs? And that, I think, in my opinion, that would probably be the fairest way to do it. We do it by how much the project costs, and Mr. Sanchi has already written something up, say 0 to 50,000. This is the professional fee agreement. Now that the money is used, and whatever they pay our fees, and whatever isn't used is given back to that individual.
Yeah, I want just to add one thing to that. What we're talking about, it's not the requirement that the applicant reimburse the village. That's what the agreement says. What we're talking about is the security deposit to make sure that the village doesn't have to spin up an expensive lawsuit trying to chase somebody around over a couple $1,000.
I mean, we want to be fair to every individual, and it's kind of hard because we have, at this time, we have 2 different situations with the Flanagans and with the Mr. Helt. They're not alike, so it's a tough situation to come up and try to be fair. But I need your opinion on what are we going to do here.
Okay, I'd like to comment. And basically, I think a fee structure like he's suggesting is real appropriate. I mean, Mr. Helt is already approaching, in my estimation, $1,000. They have these other problems with how the lots laid out and everything. He could very easily go up to $3,000. So I think that's very good for a minimum. So again, I think we have to have this fee structure, and I like the idea of a graduated one. That's my comment.
I agree with that. Small projects, but on the Flanagan's, his bill would be over 100,000, so I'm assuming this is one project for him? Not
Yeah.
5 projects. Right. Okay.
So Flanagan would have to put up that $9,700 on each house he's gonna build.
No, He's making-
Well,
well, two things. One, I think that this application, it was for a bunch of lots related to, I think if he were to come in, do it, his total cost is over. It's not that he has to do it for each one, but he would have to do that highest level because the total estimated cost of his project is going to be over the $100,000. However, he's already signed the agreement. He's already made the deposit of the existing. So I grandfathered is the wrong term, but it's the idea.
Sir, you had a question?
I had a question. I think this came up at the other meeting, but if the kitty is used for the $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, and the price goes over that, what happens in that case?
Well, the way the agreement is structured, you're not supposed to be reimbursing directly out of the deposit. The deposit is there and then the village requests payment reimbursement for the invoices on an ongoing basis. And the applicant is required to keep that security deposit there. So it's really there similar to a security deposit on a rent, just for the end to cover whatever costs are left there at the end of it. If someone's refusing to pay, the village would reimburse itself from the security deposit, and then we would be instructed not to do any additional work until that's been replenished.
Okay, so that's just a security deposit. They pay for everything as it goes on.
Yes.
What happens if it's not approved? What happens if,
That's why the Flanagans are here looking for some feedback on the front end, because yeah, they'd be on the hook.
so you, what you're like, right, you put your money down and if zoning didn't approve any changes, then you would just be out that money?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
I don't know if I'd like that.
Well, otherwise we'd be paying for those services.
Yeah.
See, we don't want to pay for anybody else's services to change something. We think they should pay for it. And even if they don't get the answer they want.
The quandary is this: the village has a zoning ordinance. The zoning ordinance has mechanisms that allow people to ask for changes. That doesn't mean that they have to be granted, but they have to be able to ask for. The village has a subdivision ordinance that requires professional review to make sure the standards are followed. Again, doesn't necessarily mean something will be approved, but it does need to be reviewed. That's a service the village has to provide. So the question that this ordinance is directed at is who's responsible for the financial burden of that review? The individual asking for it or the taxpayers as a whole? The village has to provide that service. So this would be a middle ground where you're trying to change what the upfront burden is based on the overall perceived complexity of the project based on a simple rubric like its estimated cost. But it's still, the reality is now the applicant is paying for those costs instead of the taxpayers as a whole. I hope I haven't confused the issues. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
The held information or held pricing he would have to pay is going to be what? 5,000 or?
Well,
42?
right now, he needs to pay 5,000 unless the board approves a lower number for him. In a hypothetical situation where the board had adopted the schedule like this, he would pay, I don't know, he would have to give us some sort of estimate. I would assume he'd fall into the first category and have to pay the $3,250. If the board's pleasure was to direct my office to prepare an ordinance amendment and an amended professional fee agreement that incorporates a schedule like this, then the next question for the board is whether or not, in light of that decision, to basically approve that lower deposit rate for help tonight so that we can move forward. But otherwise, he has to pay the $5,000 deposit.
We can't have a case by case and waive those?
You can have a case by case. You can have a case by case. It's built in there. This is the 2/3 thing to reduce it based on the complexity. What I wouldn't recommend is deciding whether or not to enforce the ordinance on a case by case basis, because that could lead to liability for the village. For discriminating between some and others based on, we'd have to have a really tight reason for that.
Someone could approach you and say, why, in this case, why did you give Mr. Health a pass, but you didn't do it for this person? So it would have to be consistent across to everybody, and I think that would be nearly impossible to do.
On a case by case basis.
Well, to be consistent, I think what they tiered structure, you have a set policy. Here's your structure. If your project is not going to exceed 50,000, then you have to put up this much money to cover our costs. We're just trying to protect the village's interest, so we don't incur any costs. This happened before we adopted this, that we were stuck with the bill, and we can't do that anymore.
I just, to throw it out there are some other communities that have handled this a slightly different way. And that is that they set a minimum threshold on when the ordinance kicks in the first place. Because their goal was to get the big national corporate developer that can afford it, the Quick Trips, the Loves, the Casey's, the Dollar General, those sorts of developers, but not the individual residents who are paying taxes in the village.
Yes.
And so that is another potential solution.
This is what I have a problem with.
Yeah, the upshot of that is that now you're not asking, I want to put in a deck, I want to make it closer to my back fence, I need a variance, and now I need to come up with $5,000 and pay your attorney's fees. The downshot is it's closer to the status quo, which is that the village is now going to be paying that directly without recourse to the applicant. So it's a pure policy question. All I can do is give you information.
I guess I would like to see what you're suggesting in rewriting the amendment so that it includes a fee structure.
Happy to do that.
And then if we do run into some, well, we're going to talk about health specifically in a couple of minutes.
I could put together a red line or an ordinance, proposed ordinance that could be discussed if that's the board's pleasure to.
And
Could
again,
there be
could you
something
include-
different between like residential
Yeah,
and?
yes, maybe that. Yeah, and something if you're a resident here.
I mean,
and
I
it's a Ballard
really hate to
resident.
see our community members wanting to make their home and their lots better and then need to come up with this amount of money.
Yeah, but what we don't spend as a village to fixing whatever they need to make that addition, they get the rest of that money back.
Well, in the
But
past,
if
we
we
just
don't-
went to the
If we
zoning
don't,
board. In the past, we simply just went to the zoning board.
yeah,
They
but
decided yay or nay. And
but we paid for, it. You and me, if you're a taxpayer.
And so does that taxpayer
We're the
building
ones,
this addition.
we're the ones that pay for every one of them.
We pay for a lot, yes, I understand that. Dennis.
We pay for everybody to change their house because they want, whether it be a garage or a deck or whatever. That the village shouldn't have to pay for that. I just don't understand why somebody would think the village was liable for that. I think the guy who wants to fix the house is liable for that. Either that or move out in the country where you can do whatever you want to do. That's the other question. That's the other answer to that question.
I guess I just,
Issues out there too.
No, this is exactly the,
Is that, am I right or wrong?
these are exactly the two sides of the issue.
Yeah.
You know, we need to have an understanding so we can move forward. I want to be fair to everyone in the community. I don't want an individual to pay what Love's Company or Love's Corporation would pay. You know, but the same thing too is I don't think the village, the zoning board had nothing to say about, they're not paying the fee, we're paying the fee. We're paying for the engineer, we're paying for the attorney. If somebody wants an engineer to come out to survey their property, or we have to hire the services of the village attorneys to look at stuff, I don't think it's our responsibility because we're not wanting to do that. They want to do it. I think it's the individual's responsibility, but at the same token, I want to be fair. They shouldn't be charged if they're not doing a project for $7 million. They're doing putting a deck on the back of their house. So they're not gonna come up with a large fee. We need to have a determination. I think a tiered system would be fair. But who is gonna determine that this person gets it for free, but we're gonna charge that one? That would be a decision that the board would have to make, and I don't envy you to make that decision because I'm sure there's gonna be somebody who is not gonna be pleased that they weren't considered or didn't get the same break that their friend got. So I think the easiest way to do this is with a tiered system, and that individual still has the option of not doing the project, but we are trying to cover the cost of the village. And that's been the problem we've had in the past. The bill comes to us, we have to pay the bill, and we didn't initiate the project to start with, so.
What if we did a lower graduated system and did like $1 to 25,000 and had a smaller first tier?
That would be up to you to present to our attorney to.
We could absolutely consider something like that. I can make this more steps. I think with a plan commission meeting and a village board meeting with an hour of travel either way, you're looking at 6 hours just attending meetings. That only leaves about 4 hours of work to receive the application, make sure it's complete, analyze it, draft the notice, draft the ordinance.
So either way,
It's
it's
pretty-
gonna be.
It's pretty tight at that 10-hour.
Right, okay. I mean, that's why I just wanted to ask.
I would prefer not to put people in a position where they have to refill the deposit over and over. I'd rather.
Right, for sure. Yeah, that would,
Because then it's hidden costs, at least here.
yeah.
I mean, if the
Okay.
money isn't spent,
Thank you for clarifying.
the money will be returned back to that individual.
That's right.
But as Mr. Sanchi says, before the project even starts, the money's gonna be used up, and they're gonna say, if you want us to take it forward, you have to put more money into the account.
Right, yeah,
And if
that's,
someone says, well, I don't have the money, now the money you already spent is gone, and you don't have your project done, so.
Yeah.
Sir,
Mr. Sanchez, is $32.50 a realistic fee for what? To get
For some
some building
basic-
permit for like a garage or a house or a
It-
deck or?
Again,
Or
the cost, using cost as an estimator is a rough but not perfect indicator of complexity. The issue here is complexity, not really the nature of the request necessarily. I think for a simple request, I need a 5-foot variance in my side yard. I need a lot coverage variance. I need a special use permit for, I don't know what. I want to put an automobile sales
then
facility downtown.
$32.50 would be enough.
There it probably is because you've got about 6 hours of work attending meetings and about 4 hours to do everything else. I think that's reasonable. I think that's something we can get done. If it goes over that, it shouldn't go over that by much. When you get bigger and bigger projects though, there's a lot more to consider. And then the really big projects, you also have the engineer.
Like building a house, it would be way over $100,000. I haven't
That would
built
be
a
way
house
over
in a lot of years, but my house cost me way over $100,000, I can tell you that.
Yes, and the reason why a more expensive project like that might warrant a higher security deposit would be because you might have to have an independent code reviewer look at a building, an architectural drawing. You may have to have an engineer look at a subdivision plat. There's just going to be more costs. It may not all be attorney's fees. It may be other
right.
professional fees.
And so your pay scale here, not pay scale, whatever we want to call it. This is not in effect right now.
No, this was a recommendation. If you were going to adopt some kind of schedule, this is a loose schedule with 3 steps in it based on, again, 10, 20, and 30 hours of work as an estimate.
So what did we do before this? Like, where would Bill sit before or?
Right now, the ordinance requires that he put up a deposit of $5,000
Okay,
unless this board by a 2/3 supermajority, which is 5 aye votes, approves some lower number. The next item on our agenda is that he has requested a reduction of the deposit down to $0. That's what he's asking for. He doesn't want to put up a deposit. Now, the risk with that is that if he then doesn't reimburse the village, then you're going to be chasing him around. That gets more expensive more quickly. Now,
well, we know where to find him.
Well, and the only point that I made that was on that topic earlier is that he came in with a, on its face, simple request. But in discussing with him and the plan commission what it is he's looking to do, I think it's more complicated than that.
And again, I think the meter's already up to $1,000 in order to resolve this, if it's still simple.
Yeah, well, so far the discussion that has been had regarding this thing, because he hasn't signed it yet, that's all going under the village's general corporate bill. So right now you guys are paying for it.
Yeah, because he hasn't put up any deposit.
And this is one of the things that we're trying to protect the village from, is incurring bills like this.
Yeah.
We have to pay for Mr. Sanchi to come here for the return back to his office for his time here. So the meter's running and we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
And otherwise, we're gonna pay the bill, and in the long run, we're not the one putting the garage up.
Yeah.
So,
And then I guess one last thing, why are we having this discussion now? The reason we're having this discussion now is that now with Flanagan and Health, this is the first time that this ordinance, the board adopted this last July. This is the first time it's being used, the first time it's going into effect, the first time it's creating an issue. And what I need to know when people are submitting applications and I'm going back to them with these deposits, I need to know that this ordinance is in a state that the village board will stick by, that what the rules are is what we're going to apply and everyone's going to be comfortable with that. So we need to put the rules into a state where we can apply them fairly and evenly to everyone.
So I'll make a motion to accept this.
Well, so we don't need a motion right now. What I just need is some direction from the board informally to prepare the ordinance. So if that's.
I'm in favor.
Yes,
You gotta look at
absolutely.
something, so we can't pay for everything.
I mean, the only option we have really is we do have an ordinance saying that he has to pay $5,000. So we either do a tiered system or he pays $5,000. There's nothing in the ordinance saying you get it for free.
Yeah.
So if the board is in agreement with that, we'll get the paperwork.
Yep. And then, at this point, I don't have an estimate from Mr. Helt as to what his project involves tearing down the existing storage barn that's on the property and putting up, he would like a 3-car garage there. I don't know what the estimated cost of that is. Rather than have the board make a decision, I guess it's your pleasure. You can set a number based on the perceived complexity of that now and approve it by a 2/3 supermajority vote, or you can leave that for the next meeting when this ordinance will be before the board for decision, and then he can pay based on whatever estimate he provides us with.
Is the village board in agreement with that?
I'm fine with that. You know, about everybody else, but I'm fine with that.
So are you fine with waiting till the next meeting, or are you fine with passing something for a lower amount now?
Well, whatever.
I would like
I would,
to ask.
you can wait the next meeting when it gets all wrapped up. I mean, I'm ready to pass it now. That's,
Okay, so if
that's my point. I mean,
if we could make a motion then to move that, in this particular case, we go with what we're deciding in the future will be our lowest tier, 3,250. Because again, he's already up 1,000.
What does a garage cost?
There's three-car garage, 25,000 maybe.
25? Yeah.
Well, maybe just for the wood, but you've got to remember.
Plus he's tearing down the other building.
Doors and like.
Oh, yeah, well, you've got to do doors, you're right.
yeah, but he does some of the work himself.
I'm sure he does.
The important thing this evening is we come to an agreement, we need to move on from this. So what are we gonna
I'm
do?
fine with this, you know, written up here.
The tiered system?
I think the tier system is
Yeah,
good.
tier system, I'm fine with that.
Is everybody?
And if we have to wait till next meeting to vote on it,
Well, we
that's fine
have
with
to
me. If
put
we
it on the
don't vote on it
agenda.
now, it's fine with me too.
The paperwork will be prepared and we'll have it on the agenda to make a formal vote, but is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone concerning that? All right, we're gonna move on to the next thing.
I've got one more thing.
Yes, sir.
A couple of meetings ago, we mentioned the fact that the tax on groceries is going to cease January 1st. We have the opportunity to reapply for a 1% grocery tax. And I've been struggling to find out how much we actually receive in grocery tax. And I think I've come up with a solution. If you see in your budget packet tonight, the sales tax we have received so far is 47,520. The non-home rule sales tax of 1% that we've also received this year so far is 35,508. I believe that the $12,000 difference that we received this fiscal year is the 1% grocery tax. The state does not differentiate from the Department of Revenue, which is grocery tax and which is sales tax, but our 1%, I think, is both of those. So I'm saying that I think we are receiving $4,000 a month in the grocery tax. So we need to act quickly, probably at the next meeting with an ordinance that Mr. Sanchi would prepare if we want to continue with the 1% grocery tax. But we need some kind of feeling from everybody. You want to get rid of it so people are not paying 1% grocery tax? Or do we want to keep our $4,000 a month for the 1% grocery tax?
If I'm correct, I think we have to apply by October.
October 1st, that has to be to the Department of Revenue. So that's why I'm suggesting if we want to do it, we need to do it now.
Well, so the ordinance needs to be adopted and submitted to the Department of Revenue on or before October 1st. Sooner is better. Then the tax doesn't kick in until January 1st next year.
Yes.
The state grocery tax doesn't lapse until that same time. So if you adopt the ordinance, you'll just continue to receive.
Yes. Yes.
And we have a good template. It's very simple to prepare. So did we already prepare? We might have already prepared.
So village board, do you want to continue after January 1st with the grocery tax, or do you want to let it expire? That's going to be your decision.
So nodding heads or shaking.
Well, yeah, I mean, $4,000.
1%, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like we don't have a super majority perhaps, but I think we've got enough that are saying it's worth getting the ordinance and then we'll vote on it.
Yes, I think so.
Okay,
Absolutely.
we'll put it together. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Community Outreach Chairman, Steve Brower.
Let's see, we had the 5K run on July 27th. Got about $80 in from that. The next run is August 31st, posted by JD. And then our next fest meeting is August 6th at 6 o'clock in this building. And that's maybe our final meeting before the fest begins. So looks like we're on schedule for a lot of things. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Building and Grounds Chairperson, Julie Quinn.
I have no report.
Thank you, ma'am. Law Enforcement Committee Chairman, Dennis Martz.
I'll let the chief talk. Are you ready?
Sure.
No, what this other thing.
I prepared this for all the trustees, and we don't have to go through each particular
Well, I
thing.
could do that. I know you wanted.
I'll do that next.
I'll take care of this.
Okay.
He prepared a report for you guys from April through June. And as you can see, there's, like 16 crashes in that time. 56 ambulance calls. 87 assists. Just, domestic disturbances, we got a lot of people that have been 19. And suspicious vehicle persons is 4, and now we're back at 8. So it's a total of 94 in April, 130 in May, and 120 in June.
Keep going.
All right, next I'll ask John Coletti to step up. John's been with us for 19 years. He started in 2006. And John is going to be retiring as a part-time officer. So John's been a valuable member of the police department before I got here and a lot after. He helps with Shop with a Cop. He does patrol duties. He helps with the Burnout Fest. He's helped us with everything we've ever asked. Because of John's work and a lot of things going on, John has to step away now. He's still going to, in his retirement role, he's still going to help us with those extracurricular activities. So I want to thank John for his service to the village and thanking him for that. We have a plaque for him. It says, John Coletti, police officer, 19 years of service to the village of Grant Park. I'd like to present that.
Okay, thank you. Katie, you want to get one? Okay.
In addition to that, we got on this handy dandy retirement badge and a retirement ID card. So
That's
you
great.
get more presents. Congratulations. I want to invite everybody. We're gonna go to Flanagan's after this, so there's some pizzas and some appetizers. So please come join us.
Let me get up.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. I've been retired for a long time. 15 years.
It's a long time.
And I don't even look that old, do I?
I'm sure not.
I know you're lying.
I can't lie to you. I don't know how. I would cut down a tree or something crazy.
I got it.
Give you all this stuff to take with you. Congratulations. And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. I just have a couple of things this evening. In the past, we have sponsored, a golf outing, the Grand Park Historical Society as a whole sponsor. So at this time, I would ask the village board to consider being a whole sponsor again this year. We have a motion to be a whole sponsor for $100.
Sure. Oh, I think Steve got it.
Second. Need a second.
Okay, we've got a motion on the floor to sponsor the Historical Society's golf outing as a whole sponsor for $100. Motion made by Ms. Leo.
Yeah, no, Steve.
Steve, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear it. All right, then who had to say? Okay, seconded by Mr. Mark. Morgan? Yes. Ms. Quinn?
Yes.
Ms. Worrell?
Here.
Ms. Leo?
The only other thing I have this evening is, over the last couple of days, the village office had gotten some complaints about different things in the village. We are looking into it and we are handling the situations. Carl has been looking into it and I have too, so, we'll keep you updated on the different things.
Was it my son Bull? One of the.
No, that was a big problem.
That makes me happy.
Wild livestock running down the state highway, but, I didn't want to bring it up and since you did. So this evening, that's all I have. Is there a need to go in executive session? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Again, please come down to Flanagan's. Hang out with us for a little bit.